Hello, welcome back. Today we are going to do try a chapter with some spooky fall thrillers. So I have been in a little bit of a funk lately and I'm trying to just figure out what I want to be reading. And I love fall and it's a rainy weekend. There's like a hurricane coming through, so there's lots of rain, and I've been really productive today with meal prepping for work, for my meals for lunch. Meal prepping, getting things ready for dinners, cleaning, putting up some things around the house, like curtains and things that have just been getting pushed to the wayside. And so now it's time to sit down and we are going to read some books. I have my book bow here by UGG. I love my book pillow. It has a little pocket, but I got this for Christmas and it's just like so great. I can just like sit it here and it'll hold up my book. Okay, the first book is The Chalk Man by CJ Tudor, and this is one of those where I either need to read it or unhaul it. I have had this for a really long time. I got it at Ollie's for $2.99, but it looks like it was originally at Target and didn't sell there, so it went to an Ollie's, which is like an overstock type store. And it seems to be two timelines, one timeline in the 80s, one in 2016. And it seems to be like a copycat killer type of situation. So I'm just gonna sit here, read the first chapter, and I'll be back to let you know my thoughts. Okay, so I read the prologue and the first chapter of this, and I am going to keep this one, and I think I might prioritize this one sooner than later because this is giving me Stranger Things vibes. Because in the 80s timeline, first of all, the 80s vibes are there, which is awesome, but there's this like group of kids, these like preteens that hang out, and their names are, it's nicknames. Their nicknames are Eddie Munster is like the main guy, and then Fat Gav is his friend, Metal Mickey on account of the huge braces on his teeth, Hoppo, which is a nickname for David Hopkins, and Nikki. That was our gang. Nikki didn't even have a nickname because she was a girl, even though she tried her best to pretend she wasn't. So does that not give you like Stranger Things gang vibes? So I am definitely going to prioritize this one this fall, and I think it has the perfect fall vibes. So this might get moved up on my TBR a little bit. But it definitely seems like it's going to be them getting into some shenanigans. They see something terrible happen. They cover it up, keep it a secret, and then later it comes back to haunt them. Seems like that's pretty much like the typical suspense thriller vibe that I'm getting from this. But I was pleasantly surprised with that first one. I was very much going into this thinking I was going to DNF it, but it surprised me. So that's the great part about these videos. So let's move on to another one. Okay, so this is The Perfect Nanny by Layla Slimani, and it says it's a psychological thriller. So a collision of class, race, and gender. And I've read a couple of different like creepy nanny books, so we'll see if this one piques my interest and see if it does anything different than other creepy nanny books that I've read. Okay, so the first chapter of The Perfect Nanny was 16 pages long, and we basically are just meeting the couple that's hiring the nanny and their two children. You know, it's a pretty typical, like, mom was working from home and she wasn't happy. She felt like she was drowning, and so they're hiring a nanny and she's gonna go back to work. And that's basically it. Just setting the stage for it, but honestly, I'm kind of bored. And I understand that we needed the background first and that after this we'll get into the stuff with the nanny, but honestly, I feel like after reading The Housemaid, I feel like all the like creepy nanny books kind of pale in comparison. I don't know, that one was just so good. So I don't know, I might hold on to this one and try another chapter later, but this one, like, that first book I read, I would give that first chapter like a 9 out of 10. This one I would give like a 5 out of 10. So we're gonna put this one aside for now and maybe we'll come back to it. Okay, next we have The Night They Vanished, and this is a thriller by Vanessa Savage. I don't know much about this, but I must have been intrigued enough about it to put it on my wish list, because I did get this from my Amazon wish list. So it says, a family with a secret, a past about to catch up with them. So this is another book set in the UK. all three of these so far have been. So we shall see. Let's see, how long is the first chapter? Oh, the first chapter is only a couple pages. So yeah, it's like 9 pages. And it's pretty big font, so I should get through this one fairly quickly, but I really like that cover. Okay, the first chapter of this was not good. This felt like the main character of every Riley Sager book, except even more tortured and bleak and annoying. I just feel like Riley Sager always has the female leads that are like kind of dark, kind of jaded for whatever reason, usually like broken family or like no relationship to their family. And that's exactly what this is. This girl, she is grappling with whether or not she wants to open this Christmas card that's from her family. And then she goes to a bar with her friend and is talking about how terrible her life is. And her friend's trying to set her up with somebody. And she's like, oh, I'm so jaded and sad and dark. And then at the end, she's like, what the heck, set me up. And that's literally the whole chapter. Yeah, I didn't really understand it. Honestly, I was already annoyed with the character after 10 pages. So this one is probably going to be an unhaul, or maybe I'll look on Goodreads and see like what the reviews are, but this one doesn't look promising. Okay, next let's read the first chapter from Those Girls by Chevy Stevens. This is my last chance at Chevy Stevens. I've read like 3 or 4 of them and I haven't given any of them more than 3 stars, but I have heard that this is her best one, and I've heard that it is pretty dark, and I think it's about 3 sisters who have to run away from home. I think they have an abusive family situation, and then years later as an adult, one of their sisters goes missing again. Okay, so the first chapter is only a couple pages long, and it says July 1997, so we shall see. Okay, so the first chapter of this one was good. We have 3 sisters and they are on the run. They're driving somewhere and they are talking about how they're going to have to find food and probably gonna have to siphon gas for them to get wherever it is that they're going. And that's basically all that happened. We didn't get a whole lot of the backstory, but it alluded to a couple things. And then the last sentence of the first chapter kind of lets you know like where we're going next. So this was pretty good. I am happy with this. Give it like an 8 out of 10 for the first chapter, and I'm excited to pick this one up at some point. Okay, next we have The Visitor by K.L. Slater. I've never read anything by K.L. Slater, and this seems to be a domestic thriller, a psychological thriller with a breathtaking twist, but it seems pretty domestic. But it says that it's from the best-selling author of Blink and The Mistake, which I've never read any of those, but it says perfect for fans of The Girl on the Train and The Couple Next Door. And that is why I picked this book up at a used bookstore for $2.50, because those are 2 of my favorite thrillers. So let's see how long the first chapter is. Okay, so there's just a 1-page prologue, and then the first chapter is really short. So I'm going to read the prologue and the first chapter and let you know what I think. Okay, this one again surprised me. So I assumed that I would be reading from the perspective of a woman, since there's a woman on the cover, but it's actually David. And David is a 40-year-old man living with his mother, and he knows a lot about all of the different people that live in the neighborhood. He has like a Rolodex, and he keeps like notes on all of the neighbors. And so even as little as like when they get a new lawnmower and it's like a cheaper lawnmower than what he had before, so like maybe that means the neighbor has money problems, and just like obviously really obsessed with the neighbors. And so I'm very curious why he lives with his mother, why he's creeping on all the neighbors. And then apparently mom's boyfriend is gonna move in and David is not very happy about that. So I wonder what's gonna happen with that. So this one was pleasantly surprising. I am intrigued. I am wanting to know what happens next. So this one moved up just a little bit higher on the TBR. Okay, book number 6 is The Marriage Lie by Kimberly Bell. I've read multiple Kimberly Bells at this point, and I've given at least 2, if not 3 of her books 4 stars. I think I've given one of her books 3 stars, but for the most part I give them 4 stars. So maybe this will be the 5-star book, but I got this for $1 at McKay's Books. And I think this involves a plane crash too. So let's see how long the first chapter is. Oh yeah, it's only like 10 pages. So I love it when thrillers have short chapters, you know this. And it seems to be kind of small font, so this might take me a couple minutes. So we'll be back when I've read the first chapter. Okay, the first chapter of this is two people on their 7th wedding anniversary, and they're trying to get pregnant, and it's talking about how 7 years in, they still have the same like love and affection for each other that they did when they got married, and talking about how like her friends say it'll fade, but it hasn't. And then he has to go off to a flight. So, and I know that the flight crashes based on what happens on the back of the book, and we know that the plane crashes based on what I read from the back of the book, but pretty typical start to a domestic thriller. So, I mean, I give it like a 7 out of 10. Domestic thriller beginnings are usually very, you know, normal, idyllic, suburban lifestyle, and then things kind of go from there. So I'm not surprised that it was just kind of mediocre, but I'm not upset that it's kind of mediocre, if that makes sense, just from what I know of domestic thrillers. So yeah, I'm still pretty sure I'm gonna like this because it's Kimberly Bell, and I am picky with my domestic thrillers, and usually hers are good and don't have some of the like silly things that I don't like in them. Okay, next we're gonna go with The Perfect Ruin by Shanora Williams, and I don't actually know anything about this, but everybody tells me that it's good and that I'm gonna like it. Okay, so this seems like a domestic thriller as well, and it seems like a revenge story. And revenge meaning like this woman ruined Ivy's life, and so she's trying to get back at her, and the way she's going to do that is by seducing her husband. So, okay, again, kind of like 12 pages or so, kind of the same length as some of the other books we've been reading. So let's get reading. Okay, this one is giving Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, the one about the wife. It's giving those vibes. It's giving The Last Mrs. Parrish vibes. It's giving Liv Constantine in general vibes. So basically you have Ivy, and Ivy is in court-ordered therapy. We don't really know why yet, but her therapist confronts her with a note that has the name of the woman who ruined her life. And so of course she looks at it, and she realizes that this woman, Lola, is rich and pretty and married and has this nice house and has this great job. And so she instantly is like, okay, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna get back at this lady? So that's basically all that happened, and it was good. I'm intrigued, I'm sucked in, and I think I'm gonna like the writing style. So this is definitely like, this one and the CJ Tudor book, the first one, are like the two that have excited me the most based on the first chapter. Okay, the last book for this video is going to be The Flight Attendant by Chris Bojalian, and I've always heard really good things about this. This has been recommended to me for years. So this is about a flight attendant who wakes up after a night out and a one-night stand in a strange hotel. She doesn't really remember what happened, and the guy that she had a one-night stand with is on the floor dead. So that is all I know based on the synopsis, and the first chapter I looked, it's about 15 pages. So this will be the last one before I gotta go feed the puppies dinner. Okay, that first chapter was exactly what was in the synopsis. So just setting the stage, I guess, to see kind of what's gonna happen next. The writing style is a little bit weird, so I think it's gonna take some getting used to, but I am intrigued. I am interested to see what's gonna happen and where things are gonna go. So this was okay, not the best, but definitely not one where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm bored already. So here's all the books that we read for this, and I'm gonna put them in order from the ones that I'm like most intrigued and excited about based on the first chapter to the ones like not so much. Okay, so this is my order from most intrigued to least intrigued, with The Perfect Ruin at the top and The Night They Vanished at the bottom. So The Night They Vanished and The Perfect Nanny might be unhauled after I go look at Goodreads. We shall see. I'm also going to see if any of my friends have read them and kind of get their opinion, because sometimes people can tell me like, yeah, Lena, that's going to be a good book for you, or like, no, don't even bother. So pretty successful. I have an idea of ones that I want to prioritize, and especially since The Chalk Man, I was very much expecting to go into this and like not be excited for it and unhaul it probably. So that's exciting as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified of all of my fall videos that I have coming up. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what did you think of it. Is there any that you think I should move up higher on my TBR, or any that you think that I won't like? Definitely let me know, because I could be swayed one way or the other. That's it for now, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!